All right, welcome back to SHP Case Studies. Today we have a client that I manage myself. So this one's near and dear to my heart because anytime that I get the chance to be an account manager, client success individual here, I always like that because I have that deep knowledge. I was there through the thick and thin, and so I'm excited to talk about this one in the finance industry. So sometimes we work with companies in the merchant service space. And when we work with these, it's always a challenge. I'm just going to put it out there. It is always a challenge. But we typically find some success in this industry because of how we're able to really tune the knobs sharply in order to meet market with message. So this was a tough campaign. This was way below our typical average, but a lot of times in this industry, what we found, it's a volume game. There's a lot of folks who have signed contracts or already have a merchant service provider. And so really finding where those little openings are, where there's value that can be delivered that's better than what they have prior. It's a very commoditized industry. There's a lot of competition. So you have to be very sharp with that and know which market and know how you're going to really stack up there. So if we look at this one, it was a 0.39 appointment setting rate. This is a lower appointment setting rate. Typically our average is around 1%, so that's much lower. So we're looking at, one appointments, every almost couple hundred calls there, right? So if you're at a 1%, you're at one every 100. If you're at a 0.5, right, you're one every 200, right? So this is a little bit somewhere in between there. And we want to just put that out there because sometimes it's not always going to be every few calls. But this one is one where we did get quite a few appointments, even at that rate, because we were able to really deliver the value that made sense to them. And we also got people who are interested in learning more, just not ready for an appointment. We had a 1.44% overall lead setting rate. So those are folks who are either set up an appointment, interested in an email, or open to an email, and another one open to a follow-up call, just not at a specific date and time. So let's look at the company a little bit more. So if we go to the company offering, company objective, this is a excuse me, subscription-based payment processing similar to Square or Stripe, where they can offer both online and in-person transactions with their customers. So the difference here is that they save you 30 to 40% compared to these competitors, Square or Stripe. And also Stripe does one kind of well that's more online, and Square does the in-person well, but they don't really do both well. And that's what this one offers. And I thought that that's a good value to consider because you really need to know what's going to set you apart in this type of industry. So the objective was then to reach out to these owners to discuss a opportunity to save them money and offer them more service with this merchant service offering. So it's just a quick phone appointment, and we're going with these decision makers or owners of small businesses in a variety of industries. So at SHP, we have three types of scripts. We have a consultative conversation, a no bull script, and a survey script. And the consultative is the one that we chose here because we're going to be in an environment where we're calling folks that typically were either behind a desk or had a little bit more time to talk. So we decided to use this format and have more of a conversation. We actually did try the no bull script, which is a lot more value in the beginning and then ask with an appointment right away, because we thought that maybe this was a call that they had gotten many times before. But what we noticed is the quality would go down because we would ask for that appointment right away, and then they would forget about what we talked about or weren't ready for that appointment later. So we wanted one that really got them into a conversation so that they could hear and see and feel the value, so that there's a better chance they would show up because they had that good impact conversation early on. So we reach out about what we offer, but this is one where we had been in touch with them before. There was some kind of exchange of information at some level. So we were reaching out to a list that had been engaged. So we wanted to kind of start with that to see if there's familiarity and get that conversation going. We then ask a honing question, which is built like a discovery question that gets the conversation moving. Once we get to that calling prop, once the conversation opens up, we can deliver based upon, where we think that the value is going to be. We use some accolades like um, uh, different companies that we've worked with, but we also like to say, kind of use the analogy of Costco or Netflix as well, because what that does is kind of familiarizes themselves with something that they already know how it works. So they offer a subscription-based pricing, which is different than some of their competitors, and then they can kind of say with the savings that they would offer compared to other like companies, merchant service companies. Once kind of ask the discovery questions and set up that appointment, that's where we would identify that next step to see if an appointment lead or appointment warmer nurture would make the most amount of sense. In terms of the results, we actually had a really high DM connect rate. We had a 9%. Our average is typically 8%. So about 1 in every 11 calls was getting to a DM, but we were calling a lot of small businesses, which would give us access to those higher level executives like owners. Our overall appointment center rate was a 0.39. So like I said, this was a bit harder to generate a high amount of appointments, but it is a volume-based industry. This is one that we are expecting a little bit lower amount. And so if you look at the overall results, you do see a 0.3 up to about a 0.1 up to about a 0.9. But we were doing a high volume with this campaign, right? We were making, I believe, about 5,000 calls a month. So even if you were at a 0.39 on average, out of 5,000 calls in a month, you're at uh, about, let me just do that math there, 1 second times, you are at about 15 to 20 appointments a month. And so that was giving them about one appointment per day. And if they can get a client from that, I mean, they would be with that company for a long time. So it's worth it for them to make cold calls, because if they can just get one client or a couple clients per month, I mean, that's going to pay dividends, over the long term. And so this is something that we did find some good success with and some consistency, because it was a very good value compared to the industry. It was just a tough market, so you're not going to see those averages at this day and age, at least right now, until another major breakthrough happens. But great case study, because it's not always going to be that super high appointment setting rate. Sometimes it is a lower but consistent one that we can depend on and use a volume approach in order to generate the results, right? And with our service, higher volume, you get more bang for your buck. So we can, churn out a lot of those dials to get through some of the, those folks who are going to say no, like we expect, to find those gems of folks who see the value and, see the difference that this client can make next to their current provider. So really interesting campaign, one that is different than many of ours that we have, but worth noting because of this industry challenge and how we can still find appointment setting rate through cold calling in a hard industry like this. Are you a company that wants to grow their sales pipeline but don't know how to do it outside of cold email, inbound, and normal channels? Consider SHP. We provide cold call appointment setting and sales development services to generate leads and appointments outbound for your sales pipeline, so you can have control over your sales destiny. Give us a call at the number provided or reach out to us in any way, and we're happy to chat with you about how we can cold call and generate leads so that you don't have to. Be excited to do the work for you and can't wait to hear from you.